All right, moving on to the next fight on the card. It's Jared Brooks against Deiveson Figueiredo, and this is a pretty intriguing fight for the flyweight division. The flyweight division is a real shallow division, so the winner of this fight, they could get a top 5, top 10 opponent right away. You know, they could really make a splash in the division, and so this is going to be a big fight. I think they're going to both come in shape. They're going to both be, real ready to go, and Figueiredo is a pretty good grappler. He showed that he has some really strong takedowns. He's a real strong, kind of compact athlete for the division, and he actually has a real good reach as well. And, he looks like he's a pretty good on top. He has a pretty crushing top game. But he also got, Beltran was able to sweep him a few times, get on top, and land some pretty nice elbows. And he did look like he was gassing in that fight. And Beltran isn't really like a great fighter, and he just lost again to Matt Schnell at 125, and I think that basically means he'll probably be cut. But either way, I mean, it was a good performance. He beat him like you're supposed to. He took him out. He had some nice uppercuts as well, and he kind of was an inactive striker. He really had like an open striking style, but when he let off on his strikes, he really had some pretty good power. So. He was an intriguing guy. And then Jared Brooks has long been like a big prospect in the division. He was the number one pound for pound atom weight in the world, or 115 pounder. I don't know if that's atom weight, but he was the number one in the world at that over in Japan. And so he came over and he's 2-0 in the UFC, but 1-0, excuse me. He was supposed to fight Ian McCall, but so one of his fights was the one fight that he had against Eric Shelton. Also was kind of a controversial fight where a lot of people thought Shelton might have won that fight, but I actually thought Brooks won. But Brooks is pretty good. He's pretty good wrestler. He's really good at wrestling. Actually, he has great double legs. Explosive athlete. He really can close the distance on you and just take you down. He did struggle with takedowns against Shelton, but Shelton's also one of those guys that's just a really great athlete as well. So I think he'll be a little bit easier to take down Figueiredo, a little bit easier to find too, a little bit easier to hit. And Brooks does have some big power. He showed that in that fight. He really had some big strikes. Had Shelton wobbled at one point. He was pretty good, at blending his striking and his takedowns. But I think he could actually get a lot better at that. At certain points in the fight, he would be feinting takedowns and coming up with uppercuts, which looked to really, bewilder Shelton. He really didn't know what was going on. And he uses a lot of movement, a lot of, in and out movement. And he also kind of tends to gas a little bit. But not like Figueiredo, in my opinion. I think he has a little bit of a better gas tank. And he showed he had a great chin, too, because he got hit by Shelton and he popped right back up and he was completely fine. So, in this fight, I'm actually going to go with Jared Brooks. I think that Figueiredo's style is going to lead him to getting taken down a lot, just being a little bit too wild. And I also think he might walk into some shots and maybe get hurt, but I think the safe bet for this one would be Jared Brooks by decision.